Yeah, the EMTs and paramedics just see so much more death, I think, just by nature of the job and the location.
I mean, back in Oklahoma, I worked at a facility that was really like 20 miles either way between capable facilities surrounded by a huge rural community. And so we actually ended up at that facility a lot. We would get like traumatic farming, traumatic highway accident people, and it had kind of a flavor of an on scene. The family would rock and roll up with this deeply injured person who's like actively dying. We can't stabilize them enough to get out, and then they would just sit there in the facility for like hours as we're trying to coordinate next steps and getting like the coroner and this stuff. And so it had the vibe of that busy ER, we need to keep going. And then trauma bay 2 was just a revolving room of like death. And that was the kind of facility too where everything was drapes, and so you could just hear like the weeping and wailing, and like there's no training for that.
That weeping and wailing, that scream of a parent, or that's hard to recover from when you hear that. And like I feel like in my work day, when you hear that, like you're kind of trying to focus on everything else. And that's part of why I do this podcast, though, is to have these conversations. We don't have time to have at work. Like I couldn't have told you a lot of which providers are believers or not, because we don't talk about it at work. A lot of times we don't have time to talk about it at work. And that's why I wanted to bring in specific believers to kind of have this conversation. But